Okay, well, bore da, croeso I chi gyd. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this webinar hosted by Cardiff Metropolitan University and Chambers Wales. I'm Sian Rees. I'm the Associate Dean for Innovation at Cardiff School of Management. It's fantastic to welcome so many of you this morning. We have just an hour together to hear about how one company injected innovation into their business, how they were and continue to be supported by Cardiff Met and by funding from the Knowledge Transfer Network and Welsh Government. We believe it's so important to hear from real companies, and specifically we'll hear today from our case study company, Sevenoaks Modular. We'll hear from Cardiff Met, from Welsh Government and from the Knowledge Transfer Network. You can see from the agenda that you have two opportunities during this session to ask your questions to the panel. So please put your questions in the Q&A. If we run out of time, we will provide an answer to you after the event, and you'll be sent the slides, and also the event is being recorded. So before we move on to today's innovation case study, I'd like to introduce our first group of speakers. Firstly, Charlotte Hale is Operations Director at Sevenoaks Modular. She has 12 years experience in the construction industry and is passionate about women in construction, training and building sustainably. The innovation project you're about to hear about is being conducted as part of a Knowledge Transfer Partnership, or KTP for short. KTP has three parts: the company, Sevenoaks Modular in this case, a university, Cardiff Met, and a graduate associate. The graduate associate in this case study is Verity Morehouse. She's a Cardiff Met graduate of both BSc and MSc product design courses. She conducted an internship in Florida, rather glamorously with Triton submarines, before, of course, coming back to Wales, applying for the KTP with Sevenoaks Modular from 2019. The university advice and guidance is given through Cardiff Met by Dr. John Littlewood. So he is the founder of Cardiff Met's interdisciplinary research group for the sustainable and resilient built environment. He is a chartered building engineer, chair of the Chartered Association of Building Engineers for Wales, and has been working with Sevenoaks Modular on the KTP since 2016. So at this point, it gives me huge pleasure to welcome Charlotte Hale, who will take you through the case study for Sevenoaks Modular. And please put your questions for Charlotte, for Verity, and for John in the Q&A. Thanks.
There we go. Hi, I'm Charlotte, and I'm going to talk about today how this partnership with Innovate UK, the Welsh Government and Cardiff Met has helped us to inject innovation into our business. Next slide. Next slide, please. Sevenoaks Modular was established in 1996. We are an SME with around 100 employees at present. We specialise in modular and timber frame construction. We are now moving into the panelised and volumetric construction market, all due to this partnership that we have developed with Cardiff Metropolitan University. We have over 25 years experience being a market leader in this market. We work for all housing associations, and in Wales, we work for all large tier 1 contractors throughout the UK, specialising in 2D and 3D primary structures. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Our mission is mainly based on healthy, sustainable living, and these principles are instilled within our organisation. Also, skills development and training is huge here at Modular. We've got a long-standing history of training and working with local colleges and universities to ensure that the next generations have the skills for the future. We are also focused on eliminating housing shortage and reducing fuel poverty within the homes that we build. Next slide, please. So the challenge, and why did we look into KTPs? Well, there's all these reasons here on screen today, but one of the main reasons as we see it is that we had so many ideas in our company and so many people with fantastic reasons of how we could improve our business and our processes. But we really found it difficult to turn these dreams and these ideas into reality. And the KTP has really helped us do that. And that's one of the main reasons we looked into it, along with all the other benefits of the increasing the efficiencies in our processes, along with the government's drive for sustainable house building here in the UK. And we felt we didn't quite have the right academic expertise here within the company. So we reached out to the university to enable us to do this. And it has also helped us with the integration of lean manufacturing, new equipment and technologies that we knew about, but we wasn't quite able to implement these into our company until we looked into KTPs and realized the benefits of this. Next slide, please. So how do we collaborate with Cardiff Met? So there's all these reasons here, which are weekly meetings, monthly buy meetings. We're also assigned a knowledge transfer supervisor. But along with these, Cardiff Met are no more than a phone call away. They've always got someone there, should they not have the expertise with the supervisor assigned. We've always found them absolutely fantastic in finding someone else with that expertise to be able to help us should there be another need in the business for something that was outside the expertise that we were already assigned. And next slide, please. To go into some of the outcomes and benefits of the KTP, there are many benefits. You can see here on the screen, example of accreditations, working towards improving our building performance, and a main one for us is new sustainable product lines. I'll hand over to our KTP's associate now, and she'll tell you a little bit more about these benefits and how they have really helped our company succeed in today's market.
Okay, next slide, please. So hi, I'm Verity, so I'm the associate. So one of the main things that we've been looking at is developing more sustainable construction systems. So on the screen here are a couple of different wall types that we've been looking at and developed through the KTP using natural insulation, so for low carbon buildings, which they're in high demand right now to meet our UK climate change targets. Next slide, please. And then, so when we were looking at developing these wall types, one of the usually we would put these in using rigid bats of insulation, but through the KTP we've identified another machine, and that can blow in the insulation into the panels. So this was identified for one project that we're doing with it, and it actually resulted, well, it's going to result in a £200,000 cost saving just on the materials on one job. And it's obviously a lot more efficient as well than installing them by hand, and there's far less waste as well. So a lot of the KTP focuses on reducing waste, because that comes hand in hand with sustainable production, sustainable design and low carbon buildings. And this process as well, it actually increases the thermal performance of the building because you're fully filling every cavity with insulation, whereas if you were to cut bats, sometimes there are gaps. So it's actually increasing the performance as well. Next slide, please. And this is GWYNFAEN. So this was a scheme that the KTP helped to win, and it was through the Innovative Housing Programme. And the wall types that we identified just a minute ago, the architects on this scheme kind of came to us, and they went to other suppliers as well, and they asked, what can you offer us to basically produce sustainable housing? So we talked them through those wall types that we'd produced, and we actually won this job. So it's for 144 zero carbon homes in Wales. It's the largest zero carbon social housing scheme in Wales. And I think it's worth about £30 million to us and our sister company, Hale Construction, as a whole. So it was really, really positive that we won that. And that's going to be the first scheme that we get to use that blowing machine on as well. Next slide, please. And this is another one. This is fresh off the press, really. This is another IHP scheme that we have recently won. And it's part retrofit and part modular construction in Sandfields in Aberafon with Tarian. And it's going to be the first scheme that we get to do modular construction on, so that's a really big deal for us. And I kind of participated in the bid writing for this scheme for the low carbon solutions, and also propositions for building performance testing as well. So I like to think I played, you know, a bit of a part, and obviously not just myself, the whole team in winning this.
No, we definitely couldn't have done this without the help of the KTP, the Welsh Government also, and it has been a godsend to us. And as you can see, the value of these schemes is astronomical, and it has really helped us achieve not only innovation in the company, but also our turnover goals.
Next slide, please. And then one of the other things that we've been working on as part of KTP is in-house training. So Sevenoaks Modular has aspirations to produce an in-house training academy in collaboration with a couple of other organisations, and we've already started some of this training. So this image here is myself doing some air tightness tape training for one of our passive house schemes, which is a really high standard scheme in Wales. So teaching our fixers how they apply these air tightness tapes correctly in order to improve the performance of our building. Next slide, please. Do you want to speak about this, Sarah?
Yeah, that's no problem. I'll talk about some of the benefits again to the company. Just to summarise, so as you can see here, we've had a lot of new tender opportunities, which we have then secured through the KTP. It has allowed us, I think we've spoken about as well, to more efficient operations. We've worked with Verity and Cardiff Met to design our factory layout to ensure efficiencies across the shop floor, and it's been great in all aspects really of that. We've designed lots of new innovative skips at the end of the lines. It's all different sort of movements of the guys, and these minimal things have really made a huge impact on that. We've also, as you said, enhanced opportunities for MFC in off-site construction. So we're looking at that as well with Cardiff Met, because this has been such a success. We're also looking to do another MSc. There's been other opportunities for collaborative funding. Our relationship has worked so well that we're actually looking into other avenues and a different funding, which the university is then collaborating with us on those bids. We've also, as mentioned previous, got access to extensive industry knowledge and academic knowledge. As I said, if there's something that you don't know or you've got a question, don't think that that's not in the expertise of the area of the KTP. The university are there to help you out, whatever should be the case, and that's what we found. Also, as you've seen, Verity talked about some training that she's done, and a few companies that have done free training, which is great. So all the knowledge the university has got, you just put in some time for some training, and the KTP's associate Verity has carried that out for us. So all these efficiencies and the enhancing of our product development has led us to increase profitability within the company also, which is, I know, one that all your companies will want to know about. That's what we're all here for, aren't we? So yeah, next slide, please.
So I think that pretty much sums it up. I think we're going to pass over to John Litwood. He's actually our supervisor, or my supervisor from Cardiff Met side, and he's been fantastic throughout the whole project. He's basically our go-to resource for any questions or anything we have, and he's helped guide me in the right direction, and he's helped us stick to the work plan as well, which he actually helped to write with Sevenoaks Modular in the first place. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much. Okay, next slide. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, thanks very much for the excellent presentation by Charlotte Hale and Verity Millhouse. So just to give a little bit of extra context to me, whilst I'm a chartered building engineer, I started my career in the building industry as a painter and decorator in Yorkshire in the mid-80s. And in fact, my first studies were not in construction, were actually in business studies. While studying, I actually set up my first business when I was 18, a window cleaning business, and I sold that for £500 when I was 19. So as a Yorkshireman, I'm always keen to save a bit of money. But moving on, yeah, more seriously, as a chartered building engineer, I lead the Wales region for the Chartered Association of Building Engineers, which is facilitating the link between universities, FE colleges and industry. And indeed, we've got many members, which I think might be attending today, who are chartered members of KTP'S. As part of my role as the lead for the Sustainable and Resilient Built Environment Group at Cardiff Met is actually facilitating not only access to expertise, as Charlotte and Verity have indicated, but it's also facilitating links to funding bodies like KTN, Innovate UK, in the context of the KTP and Welsh Government. As Charlotte said, KTPs are funded by business, KTN, and in the case of Wales, Welsh Government. And I've, in my role working for 3 different universities, Cardiff Met I've been at since 2007. I've led 50 projects associated with 50 different funding bids, circa £3.2 million across building construction, off-site manufacturing, building performance, food production, health and well-being, quality of life, retrofit, new build, a wide variety of projects. And indeed our research group has membership from 4 of the 5 academic schools at Cardiff Met. And of the 50 projects that I've led, 5 have been KTPs and 4 have been with Welsh businesses. But I would say that the largest KTP project that I've led is the one with Sevenoaks Modular, and as you can hear from Charlotte Hale and Verity, it's been going extremely well. And also one of my roles is coordinating professional doctorates, which are doctoral projects for people working in industry, looking at delivering innovative change to their organisations or wider professional disciplines, sometimes known as disruptive change. And these cover almost any discipline of engineering, art and design practice and sustainable built environment. And indeed, Verity Millhouse herself has started a professional doctorate associated with the KTP and partly funded by the KTP, related to opportunities for recycling waste from Sevenoaks Modular as part of their production processes. So it's a win-win for all everybody involved. And as part of the KTP, we're disseminating the work through examples like today. Recently, we had an article in Business Wales, but also from an academic perspective, we have to disseminate our work into what are called academic peer-reviewed publications. And as part of my role through SERB, is I'm a co-editor on 2 publications, 2 books for Springer, and we've had 2 book chapters published. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So just there's a summary here of the engagement you've heard from Charlotte about. We've worked with them since 2016. We did some initial ethnographic work, immersing ourselves in their business. We submitted and won the bid in 2018, and Verity was appointed in 2019. And of the 27 outputs over the 8 stages that you can see on the screen here, we've already delivered 8 of them, thanks to Verity. And as Charlotte said, we're scoping our next R&D funding bid, which is through the EPSRC for sustainable manufacturing, and also scoping an Innovate UK bid for future leaders. And as like Sevenoaks Modular, they've be many benefits for a Cardiff Met from case study projects for student projects, guest lectures, site visits, factory visits, internships, support for new programs. Indeed, we're looking at the feasibility of an MSc in smart off-site manufacturing for innovative methods, modern methods of construction, working in conjunction with Sevenoaks Modular and their some in-house training academy and R&D academy. So thanks very much. That's a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, and I'm passing back to Sean now for our questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Verity, Charlotte and John, for that interesting introduction to the work of Sevenoaks Modular. A couple of questions have now come in. So I'd like to start with directing one to Verity, if that's all right, Verity.
Sure.
So just to ask you, how easy has it been for you to integrate into the company? And what has this experience taught you about business?
I think it's been great for me, like as a graduate. It's quite daunting going from university straight into industry. So I said before, it's a bit like a stepping stone because you're still kind of got the comfort and the knowledge from the university, but you're also embedded in a company. So if I did have any queries or questions, I can go to the university and I can get that support there. So I think it's like perfect for graduates, really.
Thank you. And maybe this for Charlotte then. So how hard or not has it been for you to integrate, the work of this project and associated projects, into the everyday running of your company? So how core is it to your business, or is it, a nice new development?
I think it's very core to our business. Cardiff Met work with us on the work plan, so it suits the flow of our business. And should there be need for amendment on this, then there's also scope then to change the plan. So this it's not tasking, it doesn't take away from your ordinary business tasks. We've also got things such as your accreditations, which we would need to do as a business. These are, KTP has also helped us achieve these accreditations running in line with that work plan. So, it's not always been great in that aspect.
You mentioned accreditations there, so we have a question on our Q&A about just that. So for anybody, any of you, what are your thoughts on the standard ISO 56002? So this, for those who don't know, is the international standard for innovation management. Are you using this? Is it the basis of the management of innovation in the company? What are your thoughts on that?
We are ISO accredited, but we currently are not to this standard. But we have now looked into that, given that the KTP has stood us in good stead to be able to gain this accreditation. So it's great that that's been mentioned, because this is something that we are now looking to achieve because of the KTP.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just add there, Sean, that the other thing that Verity and Charlotte have been looking at, in fact, Verity was engaged in some training which was co-funded by the Welsh Government through the Toyota Lean Management Centre, and has implemented some of the training from that course related to value stream mapping. If you wanted to say a little bit about that, Verity.
Well, in response to this question, yeah, so obviously Toyota Lean Management Programme, they have a lot of their own management principles. So we went on a course with them, and then they came back here and they looked at our manufacturing procedures, and they basically talked us through ways that we can improve our systems, our processes, continuous improvement procedures. And yeah, that was great. That was part funded through the Welsh Government as well. And then obviously with the KTP, there is a personal development fund, there's a consumables fund, and also a travel fund. So that means that we can kind of, or I can go on lots of different courses and things for either my personal development or for things that the company would like me to progress with. So that budget's great.
Okay, thanks for that. So in the context of this next question, can you give us a bit of a sense of how big the company is with reference to, the question is, what changes have you made on the shop floor? And how did your workforce accept the changes that you brought in? And, what support did you provide to embed any changes in processes for people who work in the company?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah. So we have actually written 2 kind of academic papers on some of the changes on the shop floor and things that we found from like time and motion studies and things like that. So you may be able to read those. I'm not sure if John can give you links or not. But it has been well received. A lot of the changes are things like they're to do with Toyota and lean management. So introducing like a fibre system, so standardization, organization, creating standard procedures. Also using things like trolleys rather than forklifts to move things around, reducing waste, and a lot of it's to do with, so with the trusses we looked at whether we were actually meeting the targets that our software set, and then looking at the software and seeing if we needed to make any changes to the pricing systems and things like that. But yes, it's been received well.
Yeah. I think there was, at the start, there was a little bit of a resistance, but with Verity working closely with the students and being based here in our company and able to go out on the shop floor and continually liaising with the shop floor staff, they will then overcome this now, and it works great. And they're also coming up now with their own ideas. So we feel the culture of innovation is also now being embedded in our business, because we've continually kept up this. And we've also released an innovation form. So you get employee of the month, should come up with a good idea or in terms of improving our efficiency on the shop floor. And this, it was all sent up by Verity.
So,
And as part of that, Sean, sorry, just one other thing, is the between Charlotte and Verity, they established a monthly or quarterly newsletter to showcase not just the innovation from the KTP, but other innovation that the company were doing. So showcasing to people working on the shop floor or in the offices what R&D work is being done and how it can affect them in a positive way.
So can you give us a sense of the size of the company and, how long has it been going for, and just as a flavour of, the workforce that you have there?
Yes, £10 million turnover company. We currently have 100 shop floor, 100 works at present, so I think it's around 70 to date on the shop floor.
Okay, and just an interesting question, I think, what's the gender balance in the company?
As you can see, 2 women here today. I'm driving for more women in our industry and our company. So off the top of my head, the majority of our shop floor workers, well, they all are today. We did have 2 women on our shop floor. Unfortunately, they've moved to another company at present. So I think we're around 70-30% in the offices, but unfortunately it's a lot of men on the shop floor, but we are driving to achieve 50% women and 50% men on the shop floor.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Yeah. Well, at least you got some good role models with yourself and with Verity, so I get that's a really important start, I think.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question now about productivity in your timber frame business. So what measures have you used to drive productivity in the timber frame business, and what success have you had?
So on the shop floor, it's we have KPIs, so in terms of target hours. So we did pretty extensive time and motion studies off these target hours to check we're meeting them, because it's quite complicated. There's a lot of processes and it's very hard to track if we are making things on time. And then we're actually currently upscaling, which we didn't mention. So we're moving to a much larger facility. It's about 8 times the size, and it's just up the road. So once we've moved up there, we'll redo the time and motion studies, and we'll be able to see then if things have changed.
That's been across many different production lines, from roof dressers, floor cassettes, floor joists, exterior wall systems, the trisol warm system. So it's across all the different production lines in both the factories.
So in your presentation, you mentioned some of the additional benefits you had from working on the more technical side of the KTP. In your view, what's been the most important benefits that you've had as a company?
Yeah, I can answer. I think obviously it's these projects that we have secured, and it's the innovation being embedded within the business. There would be ideas, there would be people talking about innovation, new things on the construction market, but with someone here solely, and that is their purpose, to ensure that this is continued. We have meetings, monthly meetings, to ensure the developments in these innovations. That's definitely one of the main benefits. Another thing that Verity came up with, and a process that's really worked for us, is non-conformances. So I think there's a culture in a lot of businesses that if there's a mistake, there's an error, highlighting the individual for that. But what we found in the shop floor, then the individuals aren't highlighting this issue, so that it's really affecting productivity. So the system she's come up with is that it's sort of linked to the Toyota way, is to say that you make a mistake, it's what can we do as a company to put that right? So they then are more inclined to fill out and say that they've non-conformances taken place, or an issue has on their behalf, and they highlight this. And then we can look at these issues and really bring them to the surface to enhance our quality of service and our quality of product. And that is something now that we do through the offices as well as production. Yeah, that is another really key benefit.
I think everything is quite linked. So obviously, producing the new wall types and things like that, and looking at new materials, has enabled us to win more work and more innovative work. And then from that, we've introduced new processes and become more efficient. So it's all quite linked. It's not necessarily just one thing. But
yeah, I think another one as well would be that should we have a client meeting, a presentation with a client, Verity would come into that, and she would talk then more in detail about the research studies she's been doing on particular products. And then the clients are really intrigued. It adds something to your marketing as well, as Verity said. So.
Okay. So you started out with some very specific goals. I'm just wondering, have these changed at all as you've gone through the process of working with Verity and with John?
Yes, they definitely have changed. I think we've actually exceeded what we set out to do. So we're setting more goals, more targets. Would you like to answer that? So,
yeah, I think John might want to, but
yeah, I mean, one thing which we hadn't considered when we wrote the very detailed work plan is we hadn't actually thought about undertaking any value stream mapping or time and motion studies. But as there was that aspiration to move from the or extend from the existing factory into the new factory, there was an opportunity to bring these tools and activities into the project so that we could identify any areas for optimization in the existing factory, and then make sure that these findings could be implemented in the planning of the new factory. And indeed, Verity has been working closely with Charlotte, but also other consultants in the planning of the new factory layout in terms of equipment, not just for the production processes, but lifting, moving raw materials and produced products through the factory and then out into delivery to their clients. And I think, sorry, go on. No, I was going to say, and I think that initial work which Verity undertook quickly demonstrated where there were very quick wins for the business, which through the which faced some challenges at the beginning, because I think when you're looking at change within your operations, whatever you do for your job, there is some resistance to that. But with the top down management of this through Charlotte, and then Verity engaging with the operatives on the production line and winning their trust, we were able to deliver those changes to optimize the processes, which invariably save costs for them, but also then those costs of savings are passed on to their clients.
So we've had a great comment from one of the attendees. It says, great to see you getting away from a snagging list mindset to a right first time, every time approach. That's a general comment from one of the attendees. I want to ask you a bit about the processes as opposed to the products. So clearly your innovation journey is also about how you do things as well as, you know, what you're making. So we had a question that was sent in beforehand about, do you work with companies about to work with them about these innovative business models as opposed to just a physical product? So is that part of your business, maybe as a kind of consultancy type approach? So a more general question really is about how are you disseminating your learning about these new ways of working?
Disseminating our learning.
Well, I suppose that's through it's a number of ways. Sorry to interrupt there. It's through our academic publications, it's through the Business Wales publications, but it's also then evidenced, I think, in how Sevenoaks Modular engage with their tenders for new projects, such as the GWYNFAEN project, which they recently won, and basically they're able to better evidence their sort of approach, not just environmental sustainability in terms of the finished building, but also in the design for manufacture, can't say the word, processes from the design office through into production and into delivery.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have time just for one more question before we move on to the second part of our webinar. So curious to know what lies in the future for you. So maybe Charlotte and Verity could take that in turn. So interested also, Verity, in you know how you see your career developing. So if I start with you, Charlotte, how do you see the business developing in the next, say, 3 years or so?
With the KTP, and hopefully Verity will stay with us, I see it going from strength to strength. The KTP has been really well accepted here, and we can only now achieve great things because we've got the fundamentals in innovation, and with the innovation being injected into our business and now embedded within our culture. I think that even if Verity should leave, we are in a really good place to ensure that this innovation carries on and that we carry this out from strength to strength and succeed.
Yeah, I think
on the spot, of course.
for me, obviously this KTP, I think they're usually about 2 years. This one's actually 3 years, so that's good for me. And then it's great because the university don't just kind of abandon you after 3 years. And John has been looking at all different types of further funding, which he mentioned briefly before, so how we can basically carry on the project. So hope that's my plan, is hopefully we'll be able to secure some further funding and we'll carry on, but with new goals. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you to all three of you for some very interesting answers to a quite eclectic and wide-ranging set of questions. So if by the magic of Zoom we can go back to our slides, we're going to move on to the next part of the webinar, which focuses on, we turn our attention now to the funding mechanisms available for making this and other innovation projects possible. So we're very grateful both to Natalie Crawley from Welsh Government and to Dr. Geraint Jones from the Knowledge Transfer Network for their time this morning. So by way of introduction to our next two speakers, Natalie has worked for Welsh Government since 2006, firstly supporting tourism in Wales before joining the Innovation Department as Academia Engagement Manager. Good luck with that one. Natalie is currently responsible for smart partnerships and knowledge transfer partnerships for Welsh Government. So Geraint is the knowledge transfer advisor for South Wales and the Bristol area. Geraint has knowledge transfer experience from both the university and the industry perspectives, and he's been the supervisor for 2 KTP projects. So I'm going to hand over now to Natalie who will talk to you about some of the funding streams for this type of work.
Thank you, Sian. Bore good morning. I work within the Innovation Department, as Sian said, at the Welsh Government, and today I'm going to be talking about smart partnerships. For clarity, throughout my presentation, I may refer to smart partnerships as SPs. Next slide, please. Okay, so SPs are a core component of Wales's offer to Welsh businesses. These are business-led projects encouraging innovative, collaborative partnerships between a business, a research organisation such as a university, so your likes of Cardiff Met, and a lead associate to create, embed and exploit new ideas. So in simple terms, it's a three-way collaboration. The business wants to innovate and grow, but does not have the knowledge in the project area to do so. The chosen research organisation will have the academic, like John, with the knowledge and expertise to help. And the associate will transfer and embed that knowledge into the business. The average cost of a smart partnership is around about £40,000 to £80,000, very much depending on the project and its nature. So 50% of that will be contributed by the business and 50% will be contributed by us, the Welsh Government. Who is eligible to apply? So charities, not-for-profit organisations and businesses, so SMEs and large businesses. And we will consider public sector projects as well. So for example, we've had one shown a bit of interest of late with Velindre. It is important to mention that the Welsh Government support projects with both financial and societal benefits, and the project must demonstrate that all partners are working collaboratively and will deliver positive well-being of future generation impacts. Geraint will be talking about knowledge transfer partnerships next, and you will notice from his presentation there are many similarities between SPs and KTPs, and I'm sure what I have just mentioned is very much, gosh, this very much sounds like a KTP. So why choose one over the other? Well, the Welsh Government fund both programmes, but SPs are usually undertaken a stage before KTPs. So why is this the case? SPs are only 6 to 12 months in duration, whereas KTPs are anything between 12 to 36 months. Therefore, businesses may want to try the shorter SP before committing to a longer term KTP project. So it's a bit of a taster almost. Usually SPs are undertaken where there is need for proof of concept, technical feasibility work that has a higher level of research than a KTP would be able to support. Alternatively, the company is early stage commercially and would not meet the KTP funding criteria, but there is a good opportunity and a need for them to start working with a research organisation like Cardiff Met. SPs are more flexible in that a business contribution can be financial and or in kind. And we are finding that projects that are engaging with smart partnerships are then springboarding onto KTP activity. And it is usually the case that they're in a better financial position to do so, which is fantastic. So just referring to the last point on this slide, as you will see, we will consider projects from all sectors, anything from management capabilities to adopting emerging technologies. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what I would usually do now is show you a video case study of one of our very successful smart partnership projects. However, due to time constraints, like there is with all of these events, the link to the video will be distributed after the event. I would, however, just like to give you a little background to the project and now how all three partners from this collaboration benefited. So the collaboration was between Aston Martin and a local university. The challenge for the company was to build their capabilities in the process of bonding structures. And they were able to do this by collaborating with two academics from the University of Wales, Trinity St David. And then this knowledge transfer was carried out by two associates for this project, and the project lasted for 12 months. So here you can see that three-way partnership: business, university, and associate. So in the way of outcomes, for Aston Martin, the success of the project exceeded expectations. Aston Martin benefited from a yearly saving of £500,000 and streamlined a process that had previously taken 3 months down to 30 minutes. And I think it is really important to add here that the company only invested £45,000 in this project, which was matched by us. So the impact for them and return on investment has been phenomenal. Benefits for the associates, they were both offered full-time employment within Aston Martin. For the university, whilst the benefits for the project were obviously apparent for the company, the university always also continues to have significant benefits because of the project and the relationship it developed. So to name a few, they have new teacher material and case studies developed from project activity and research. They had 2 major industrial projects for undergraduate engineering students, and also spin-out projects led to 3 paid internship opportunities for students. So as you can see, all 3 partners very much benefited from this 12-month project. Programs like Smart Partnerships help businesses start their journey to an inspiring and rewarding collaboration, build long-lasting and successful collaborations between the working and learning worlds. The key challenge, I think, when I introduce these programs is to make sure that people know and believe that this way of working will have a great impact, not just for the individual, but all 3 partners. I'm sure you will agree that the project is a great example of how businesses can work with universities effectively, and the video case study is well worth a watch. Next slide, please. If you are interested in learning more about smart partnerships and getting down to sort of the finer details of the programme, you can visit the support and funding section on Expertise Wales. So if you just Google Expertise Wales, the website will come up, and go to the support and funding section, and then you will see all of our funding opportunities on there, including KTP and smart partnerships. You will also see some case studies, so you can really interact with how the programme really does work for people. Don't worry about feeling alone in sort of developing applications. You've got the likes of Cardiff Met, who are fantastic in helping with this procedure, and also we have business development managers who can assist with this process as well. By all means, you can contact me. There's my email address as well. You can ping me across any questions, or if you wish to develop your application further, I can point you in the right directions. Next slide, please. And I think that is about it from me. So diolch, thank you for listening. And what I'm going to do now is pass you on to Geraint, who will enlighten you more about knowledge transfer partnerships and how we also fund this programme as well.
While we're waiting for that to happen, can I just ask you to remind you to put any questions in the Q&A for Geraint and Natalie, but we're starting to run out of time a little bit, so please put them in and we will address them.
So diolch yn fawr, thanks very much Sian and Nat. So I'm Geraint Jones, I'm with an organisation called KTN, which is an organisation, not-for-profit organisation of 200 people, 32 of us, what's called knowledge transfer advisors, and we provide support for the KTP scheme, knowledge transfer partnership scheme, all around the country. So each of us, we build up and maintain a portfolio of around 35 to 40 KTPs. I'm going to have a particular focus today. If you know KTPs, you might not have heard of some more recent funding that's become available for management KTPs, which is a particular opportunity at the moment. If, as I'm sure you will be, you're interested in follow-up for smart partnerships or KTPs, I'm also would be very happy to take inquiries. Well, I think I'd encourage you all in the first instance to contact Cardiff Met. They will be able to team you up with the best potential academics in the first instance, and then Nat or I can talk further if there is an interest in applying. Okay, so have the next slide, please. So KTPs, knowledge transfer partnerships. It is an Innovate UK scheme. Run by Innovate UK. We in KTN as KTAs, we provide that knowledge transfer advisor role as partners with Innovate UK. Most of the funding comes from Innovate UK, but also there are co-funders. There's additional funding from Welsh Assembly Government for Welsh companies, and also, for example, from BEIS, Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, for the newest strand of management KTPs, which I'll be saying a bit more about. Move on to the next slide, please. So, what is a KTP? As people have said before, a three-way partnership must be a strategic company-led initiative with a good business case. There's got to be some payback for involvement with a KTP. Partnership between the company, highly qualified associate, and a team of academic specialists who provide support for the KTP and is high impact. KTP, it's often said it's one of the best kept secrets. It's been going over 45 years now and has helped over 12,000 businesses. So it's very well established scheme. On the next slide, please. So just a couple of the numbers. I won't go through all of this. This is as the last review done by Innovate UK in March 2019. Why do Innovate UK do this? Well, and why do Welsh Assembly Government support this and co-fund this? It's because if you look in the top right there, that for every £1 that Innovate UK invest, they're getting up to £8 generated in increased profit for the for companies. And so just the numbers here just to show this is very well established scheme. As of March 2019, the figures are about the same, 798. So there's usually around 800 or more businesses at any one time with current KTPs. For associate places, that's a bit more, because it is possible to apply for KTPs with 2 associates. So that could be a consideration as well. Go on to the next slide, please. So in terms of associates, the average age of associates is 31. So we're not just looking at graduates, we're looking at potentially very highly skilled individuals, perhaps even with a further degree. 65% of them have a higher degree. But it won't be people who are fully formed. You will get someone embedded within your company who's going to be an agent of change within the company, who's going to be able to embed and transfer particular technology or processes within your company. KTP scheme, so I'll come on to management KTPs. The KTP scheme generally is subject agnostic, so any academic team, department that could usefully provide support for your company, that is eligible. As you might expect, quite a lot of, having said that, a lot of the applications are quite sort of tech biased, tech based. So that reflects the gender split that we have there, 27% 27% to 73%. You know, we're looking to improve that and to change that, but it is open across all disciplines. Of the associates who work on the project, 69% offered employment by the company afterwards, and of that number, 72% accept employment. So, you know, very strategic process in terms of connections with the university, but also you know, getting you know, good early career employee in your company who's going to deliver KTP, but also can then often move on into a management leadership position within your company. Get the next slide, please. So some of the practicalities. So KTP, it must be between 12 months and 36 months duration. So Matt mentioned smart partnership, 6 to 12 months. KTP is a bit more medium to longer term. Three-way partnership between a company, could be a charity or a not-for-profit company as well, the academic team, and the skilled graduate, the associate. So there's got to be something in it for the company. They've got to have a strategic need with a part of the jigsaw that's missing to help them achieve that strategy. There's got to be something in it for the academic team. Can't just be providing consultancy. It's got to be good academic outputs, academic benefits, and good development opportunities for the associate as well. So the associate is employed by the university, by the knowledge base, but is embedded within the company, supported by the academic team. And normally under non-COVID conditions, that would mean there's a requirement for the academic team to physically visit the company for at least half a day a week on average for supervision of the KTP associate, but also for more general partnership discussions. During COVID, you know, we're doing that as best we can online. So in terms of costs, there is a cost for this. However, it is subsidised. I've said here typical cost of a KTP is up to about 100,000 a year, probably a bit less than that, maybe about 90k a year. If you're an SME, you pay 33% of that. If you're larger, then you pay 50% of that. There is a special intervention rate, however, at the moment for Welsh SMEs, from the generosity of the Welsh Assembly Government, for applications that go in before the end of June this year. Then there's a 75% intervention rate. So, you know, you can see the cost there, you know, quite a bit less than looking to employ someone directly with all of those added benefits. On to the next slide, please. So management KTPs, so BEIS recently have put an extra 25 million funding, 200 projects for management KTPs, where the academic support comes from a management school or business school. And Cardiff Met, you know, have excellent support from Cardiff School of Management. Initially, that was coming out of business productivity review, targeted at SMEs looking to improve productivity, but also, you know, it's not just for productivity, it's anywhere where intervention from a management school, business school with support of the associate can be transformational for companies, for SMEs, but also for management KTPs up to 500 FTE. So management KTPs aren't available for companies much larger than 500 FTE. On to the next slide, please. So if a project is going to be suitable for KTPs, and focusing on the management KTPs, there's got to be a business case demonstrating commercial impact, supporting the overall company strategy. So it's got to be an impact for the investment from Innovate UK and the Welsh Assembly Government. Can't be something, as I said, that's provided in-house or via consultancy. Got to be academic benefits for the knowledge base. And we need to show how transferring and embedding knowledge, so it's not just doing a project and handing it over, but really embedding that knowledge, that know-how, will support that business case. On to the next slide, please. So for a management KTP project, we're looking for something that's going to be transformative, strategic across the whole company. So you know, it could be that you're a very successful company. You're at the point that you know, your directors, your board, you're busy with the day-to-day, not quite sure how to get to the next stage. Management KTP could help you to see, well, how to structure yourselves management-wise, that you can go to that next stage, make that next step. How do you become more resilient, new normal? How do you adapt to virtual working? Really anything where support from a management or business school could help make a transformation across the company. Could involve organizational behavioral psychology, cultural change across the company, upskilling in staff and staff retention. So, you know, where we can make a real strategic medium to long-term impact for the company. On to the next slide, please. So don't worry, I'm not going to read through all of this, and I'm nearly finished with my presentation, but this is from Bayes, the overall thinking in terms of the eligibility criteria for a management KTP. So I'll just pick out a couple from here. Businesses from all sectors prepared for strategic transformative change, who know they're going to have to transform to be strategic over the next few years, and where they could get good support from management school or business school. Aspirational businesses seeking significant productivity gains, long-term resilience and sustainability. And I think perhaps the other one I'll pick out, businesses aiming to scale rapidly and open to new thinking and improved ways of doing things, such as identifying new business models and cultural change management. So I've focused a bit on management KTPs here. The classic KTP scheme remains open, you know, for perhaps particular technical or process intervention, but there is this great opportunity at present, which is going to be there certainly for the next 6 months, maybe for the next nine months. And you have, you know, opportunity for Welsh companies up to the end of June to management KTPs are eligible for that 75% intervention rate. So I'd say if you're thinking of doing this, you know, think about if you're going to do it. I think talk to Cardiff Met and see about getting trying to get an application in for the end of June. On to the next slide, please. As I alluded to, KTP generally has been one of the best kept secrets. We have had for a bit under 2 years now, a very good website. You can get a lot more information there, case studies, associate vacancies, if you know people who might be interested in this, all about KTP. So visit that website. And the next slide, please. Okay, so as I said, I'd be very happy to talk to anyone or to connect with anyone, talk generally about KTPs. However, you know, if you've got I would suggest contact Cardiff Met in the first instance, who will look to try and team you up with appropriate academics, and then be very happy to talk about potential of application for KTPs. Because of this KTA role, I would then work with you, with the team, to help with submission. We would decide if it would go forward. Because we have that sort of facilitated approach, there's probably a 90% chance or better statistically that you get funding from KTP, and I think it's similar for Smart Partnership. For Smart Grants, Innovate UK Smart Grants, the success rate is a bit under 10%. So, you know, really, you know, we'd encourage you to look at the KTP scheme. And that's everything from me. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to all of our speakers. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but see there on the screen now a variety of different email addresses, people for you to contact should you have questions specific to the case study, specific to the university support, or indeed, obviously, aspects of funding. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate your interest in this topic, and special thanks to Charlotte and Verity for telling us about all the exciting work at Sevenoaks Modular. Thank you to John, to Geraint, to Natalie for your expertise and your contribution. So I'll just say, have a good day, everybody. Hope you're all getting your vaccination letters through at some point soon. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.